Ever wished you could just absorb information like a supercomputer, you know?
Yeah.
Watch like a 2-hour lecture, listen to a podcast at the same time, and analyze chart like all at once.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what the researchers behind Lyra are aiming for.
Ambitious.
It is ambitious. We're going to deep dive into their research paper today, and by the end, hopefully you'll understand how ambitious this project really is.
It's definitely pushing the boundaries of what we thought was even possible with AI. So the Lyra framework is designed to be what they call an Omni Cognition system.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. What is omnicognition in this context anyway?
Well, think of it as AI that's not just limited to text or images, like a lot of the models we see.
Right.
Lyra is designed to handle any kind of information we throw at it. Videos, audio, charts, you name it.
Wow.
It's aiming for a much more holistic understanding, almost like how humans process information from multiple senses.
Yeah. That's a huge leap from where most AI is right now.
Absolutely.
And I noticed the paper really emphasizes speech. Why is that so crucial to the Lyra team?
Well, they argue that speech is often overlooked in multimodal AI, even though it's arguably one of the most natural ways humans communicate. It does present some unique challenges, though. You need to account for varying lengths of audio, potential overlap with text information, and making sure the AI understands not just the words, but the actual meaning behind them.
Yeah, it's like we effortlessly decode all those layers of meaning when we listen to something, but for AI, it's just a whole other level.
Absolutely, yeah. And Lyra doesn't stop at just transcribing speech to text. The goal is to connect what it's hearing to other modalities, like images or text, in a way that hasn't been done before.
So how are they going about building such an ambitious system? What's the secret sauce behind Lyra?
Well, they're cleverly leveraging existing models, like Llama and Quen2VL. Instead of reinventing the wheel,
Right.
these models have already been trained on huge data sets, which saves the Lyra team a lot of time and resources.
So they're essentially standing on the shoulders of giants.
You could say that, yeah. It's a much more efficient approach. And it also has environmental benefits, too.
Really?
Using those pre-trained models reduces the energy needed for training,
Oh, okay.
leading to a smaller carbon footprint.
I am all for environmentally conscious AI development. But building on those giants, how do they actually get all these different modalities to work together seamlessly?
Well, they've developed a three-pronged approach.
3 prongs, okay.
It's fascinating how they're weaving all these different aspects together.
All right, lay it on me. 3 prongs.
First, they're using what they call a latent cross-modality regularizer.
Okay.
It's kind of a fancy term, but imagine it like a universal translator for information.
Like making sure that the language of images can be understood in the language of audio.
Precisely. It makes sure that all the different modalities are aligned and talking to each other effectively, so no information gets lost in translation.
Okay, so no AI communication breakdowns. What's the second prong?
This is where it gets interesting. They've developed something called a latent multimodality extractor, which acts as a dynamic filter for information overload.
Okay, I'm picturing like a super efficient AI brain sifting through mountains of data.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Okay.
This extractor focuses on the most important tokens, essentially units of information based on the task at hand. So if Lyra is watching a soccer match and you ask it about a specific player, it knows which tokens related to that player are important and can ignore the rest.
Wait, so it's not just processing everything equally, it's actually prioritizing.
Yes, that's what makes it so powerful.
Okay.
It's like how our brains filter out irrelevant information to focus on what matters most in a given situation. And this leads us to the third prong.
All right, what's the final piece of the puzzle?
This is where they put Lyra to the test. In understanding long speech, they created a massive data set, the first of its kind, with recordings ranging from minutes to a full 2 hours long.
Wow, most AI struggles with anything longer than a few minutes. How did they even begin to process all that data?
They actually borrowed techniques used for analyzing high-resolution images. Remember that extractor, the token detective?
That filters out the noise.
Yes. Yeah. It plays a key role here, too. By breaking the audio into smaller chunks and applying the extractor, they could efficiently process these enormous files.
So they essentially taught Lyra how to skim and extract key insights, just like we might do with a long article.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
And the results are astounding. They did an experiment where they hid answers to questions within hours of audio.
What?
And Lyra was able to find them. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but on an information level.
That's incredibly impressive. It seems like they've really pushed the boundaries with Lyra. But how does it actually perform compared to other AI out there? Can it live up to all this hype?
Let's get into that. The results they achieved are nothing short of remarkable. When they put Lyra head-to-head with other Omni models on image speech and text-speech tasks,
Yeah.
it actually outperformed them.
Really?
And what's even more impressive is that it achieved this using less data overall.
So not only is it more capable,
Yeah,
but it's also more efficient?
exactly.
That's a winning combination.
It is.
But I'm curious,
Yeah.
what does this look like in practice? Can you give us some concrete examples of what Lyra can do?
Sure, yeah. The paper highlights some really interesting qualitative results.
Okay.
For example, they describe Lyra accurately understanding a complex video game scene, providing insightful commentary on a soccer match just from watching it,
Okay.
and even summarizing a lengthy news report, pulling out all the key takeaways.
Wow. Analyzing a video game scene. That sounds incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
What kind of information was it able to extract?
Well, they don't go into too much detail in the paper.
Okay.
But they emphasize that Lyra was able to not just identify objects and characters, but also understand the relationships between them and even anticipate what might happen next based on the current state of the game.
That's fascinating. It's like it's actually building a mental model of the game world.
Exactly.
Just like a human player would.
Yeah.
And you mentioned soccer matches, too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine how an AI could provide insightful commentary on a game with so much visual and auditory information happening simultaneously.
That's what's so remarkable about this research, that they specifically focused on that challenge.
Okay.
Understanding long speech.
Right.
Most AI models struggle with audio longer than a few minutes.
Yeah.
But the Lyra team built an entirely new data set.
Really?
With recordings up to 2 hours long.
Wow.
And they were able to train Lyra to not just transcribe, but actually understand the content of those recordings.
So they didn't just try to improve existing AI.
Right.
They basically reinvented the approach to understanding long speech.
Exactly. And that's where those image processing techniques we discussed earlier come into play. By dividing the audio into smaller segments and applying that token detective to focus on the most relevant information, they could effectively analyze hours of speech.
Wow.
Just like we might skim a long article for the key points.
Okay. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
The focus on speech, the massive data set, the clever use of image processing techniques.
Exactly.
It's like they've created a whole new playbook for AI development.
Yeah, it really is groundbreaking work.
But with all this talk about AI understanding the world like humans, it makes you wonder, what are the limits here? Is there anything AI can't do?
That's a question that's been debated for decades.
Yeah.
And with systems like Lyra emerging, it's only becoming more relevant.
Yeah.
While Lyra has achieved some remarkable things, it's important to remember that true omnicognition is still a very ambitious goal. We're still in the early stages of understanding how to build AI that can truly match the complexity and flexibility of human intelligence.
So that's a journey.
It is.
Not a destination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as with any journey, there will be challenges and setbacks along the way.
Right.
But the progress we're seeing with Lyra is incredibly exciting. And it's opening up a world of possibilities for how AI can be used in the future.
Speaking of possibilities, let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
If you could build a custom deep dive for Lyra, what would you have it learn and explore?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
What are the biggest questions you'd want it to answer? Personally, I'd be fascinated to see how Lyra could be used to accelerate scientific discovery.
Okay.
Imagine an AI that could analyze vast amounts of research data, identify patterns that humans might miss, and even propose new hypotheses for scientists to test.
An AI research assistant.
Yeah.
That could revolutionize so many fields.
Absolutely.
What about you? What would your deep dive for Lyra look like?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
There are so many possibilities.
Right. But I think I'd focus on something more creative.
Okay.
Imagine having Lyra analyze the entire history of art, music, and literature.
Okay.
And then use that knowledge to help humans create entirely new forms of artistic expression.
An AI muse.
Yeah.
Inspiring human creativity.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thought.
It is.
It's like we're entering a new renaissance.
Yeah.
But this time with AI as our partner.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's an exciting prospect.
It is.
And I think it speaks to the broader potential of AI. It's not about replacing humans. Yeah. It's about augmenting our abilities.
Yeah.
And pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Well said. Okay, we've talked about Lyra's impressive capabilities, the challenges it's overcoming, and even the exciting possibilities it opens up for the future.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
The idea that true omnicognition is still a very ambitious goal.
What are some of the hurdles that researchers still need to address?
Sure.
What are the key challenges on the road ahead?
One of the biggest challenges is dealing with the inherent ambiguity of human language and the world around us.
Yeah.
Humans are incredibly good at understanding context, inferring meaning, and navigating complex social situations.
Yeah.
For AI, these are still major hurdles.
So it's not just about processing information.
Right.
It's about understanding the nuances.
Exactly.
The unspoken rules.
Yeah.
The gray areas that make up so much of human interaction.
Absolutely. Think about sarcasm, for example.
Right.
Humans can usually tell when someone is being sarcastic.
Yeah.
But for AI, it's much more difficult to pick up on those subtle cues.
Right. It's all about reading between the lines.
Yeah.
Which is something we humans do almost unconsciously.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And that leads to another challenge.
Okay.
Common sense reasoning. Humans have a vast store of knowledge about the world, from basic physics to social norms that we use to make sense of our surroundings and interact with others.
Yeah.
Teaching AI to acquire and apply this kind of common sense is still an open problem.
So it's not just about feeding AI data.
Right.
It's about teaching it to think like a human.
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly complex. It involves not just processing information, but also understanding the underlying principles and relationships that govern how the world works.
It's like teaching a child not just the facts.
Exactly.
But also how to apply those facts in different situations and make judgments based on context.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And it highlights the enormity of the task ahead for AI researchers.
Yeah.
But with each breakthrough, like the work we're seeing with Lyra, we're getting closer to that goal.
Right.
Of building AI that can truly understand and interact with the world in a way that's similar to how humans do.
It's an incredibly exciting journey to be following.
It is.
And I can't wait to see what the next chapter holds.
Me too.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and reflect on what we've learned so far.
Okay.
We've talked about Lyra's ambition, its unique approach to information processing, its impressive performance, and even some of the challenges that lie ahead. But one thing that keeps coming back to me is this idea of AI augmenting human capabilities.
Yeah.
It's not about replacing us, but about enhancing our abilities and helping us reach new heights.
I think that's a crucial point to emphasize. AI at its core is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
Right.
It's up to us as humans to guide its development and ensure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
So the future's in our hands.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We have the power to shape how AI evolves and the impact it has on society.
Right.
And that responsibility is something we need to take very seriously.
Well said. Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
If Lyra could be used to solve one grand challenge facing humanity today, what would it be?
Oh, wow.
What problem would you want this incredible AI to help us tackle?
That's a great question to ponder.
It is.
Perhaps it could be applied to finding solutions to climate change, or maybe to developing cures for diseases that have plagued humanity for centuries.
Yeah.
The possibilities are truly endless.
It's both inspiring and humbling.
It is.
To think about the potential impact AI could have on our world.
Yeah.
And with systems like Lyra emerging, we're getting a glimpse of what that future might hold. It's amazing to think about all the potential applications for this type of AI.
It really is.
But I'm curious, what was the real driving force behind the Lyra project? What did the researchers specifically set out to achieve?
Well, their main goal, as stated in the paper at least, was to push the boundaries of AI towards a more holistic understanding of the world, something closer to how humans experience and process information. They see Lyra as a stepping stone to what they call artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
AGI, the holy grail of AI research.
Yeah.
So they're not just trying to build a better image classifier or a speech recognizer. They're aiming for something much more fundamental.
Exactly. They want to create an AI that can learn and adapt to new situations, solve a wider range of problems, and ultimately exhibit a level of intelligence that's comparable to humans.
It's a bold vision, and it sounds like they've made significant progress with Lyra.
They really have.
But as we discussed earlier, there are still many hurdles to overcome.
Yeah.
What are some of the key challenges they highlight in the paper?
One challenge they emphasize is the need for better ways to evaluate these Omni cognition systems. Traditional benchmarks often focus on very specific tasks like image classification or question answering. But with a system like Lyra, which is designed to handle so many different types of information, those narrow benchmarks don't really capture its full capabilities.
So it's like trying to judge a fish's ability to climb a tree.
Exactly. We need new ways to measure AI that can fluidly move between different modalities and apply their knowledge to a wide range of tasks.
Yep.
The researchers propose developing new benchmarks that are more holistic and better reflect the real-world complexity that AI like Lyra is designed to handle.
That makes a lot of sense. If we're going to build AI that can truly understand the world like humans, we need to assess it in a way that reflects that broader understanding. What other challenges do they discuss?
Another key area they highlight is the need for more robust and adaptable learning algorithms. Right now, most AI systems are trained on massive data sets and then deployed for very specific tasks. But if we want AI that can truly learn and grow, like humans do, it needs to be able to continuously learn from new experiences, even those that are very different from its initial training data.
So it's not just about memorizing patterns and data.
No.
It's about learning how to learn.
Precisely. It's about developing AI that can generalize its knowledge to new situations, adapt to changing environments, and even learn new concepts and skills without explicit human instruction.
That's a tall order. But it's also incredibly exciting to think about the possibilities. It's like we're witnessing the birth of a new kind of intelligence, one that has the potential to learn and evolve alongside us.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it? And it underscores the importance of approaching AI development. With a sense of responsibility and caution, we're essentially creating new minds, and it's up to us to ensure that those minds are guided by ethical principles and directed towards goals that benefit humanity.
That's a perfect note to end on. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the ambitious goals of the Lyra project to the technical innovations they've achieved and the challenges that still lie ahead. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is the realization that we're at a pivotal moment in the history of AI. We're moving beyond narrow applications and towards systems that have the potential to truly understand and interact with the world in a way that was once thought to be the exclusive domain of humans.
It's a thrilling and perhaps even a bit daunting prospect. But one thing is certain, the future of AI is being shaped right now. And it's up to all of us to engage in this conversation, to ask tough questions, and to ensure that this powerful technology is used to create a better world for everyone.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Lyra. It's been a fascinating journey, and I can't wait to see what incredible innovations emerge in the years to come. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries. What's possible?